For centuries, the Galactic Council ruled the stars, bringing order to hundreds of civilizations. Every major species had a seat in the Grand Chamber, where laws were made, wars were prevented, and alliances were formed. But there was one seat that had always remained empty, the seat meant for Earth. Long ago, humanity was invited to join the Council. A diplomatic team was sent to deliver the invitation, expecting Earth's leaders to accept the honor eagerly, just as every other species had. But there was no response, no acceptance, no rejection, just silence. At first, the Council dismissed it. Perhaps humanity was still too primitive. Perhaps they feared the responsibility of interstellar politics. Either way, the Council had bigger matters to handle. Earth was forgotten. Or so they thought. Over the years, something strange began to happen. Surveillance drones sent to observe human progress would sometimes go missing. Fleets patrolling near Sol reported brief sensor disturbances, too fast to identify, too precise to be an accident. Some claimed to see shadows in the void, moving without engines, disappearing without a trace. The Council labeled it as interference, sensor malfunctions, or space debris. But those who had seen it firsthand were not so sure. Zelvar, a senior of the Galactic Council, could no longer ignore the mystery surrounding Earth. Too many unanswered questions, too many unexplained disappearances. Determined to put an end to the speculation, the Council sent a team of elite scouts to the Sol system. Their mission was simple: observe, investigate, and report back. They expected to find a primitive world, or, at most, a civilization struggling with early space travel. Instead, what they discovered sent chills through their bones. As their ships approached the system, every scanner, every sensor, every piece of advanced technology shut down at once. The ships drifted in silence, unable to scan, unable to communicate. It was as if an unseen force had stripped them of their eyes and ears. The crew members, experienced warriors who had explored countless dangerous regions, now felt something they had never known before: fear. Then, without warning, a transmission crackled to life. A deep, calm voice spoke in perfect galactic standard. "You are trespassing." Panic spread through the ships as the crew struggled to respond, but their systems refused to obey. No engines, no weapons, nothing worked. It was as if humanity had reached into their ships and taken control without even trying. The scouts watched in horror as the dark void of space seemed to shift around them. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. Their systems flickered back to life, and they found themselves drifting at the edge of the Sol system. They had been moved. Not destroyed, not attacked, just removed. As the scouts turned their ships around and fled at full speed, one terrifying truth settled in their minds. Earth was not primitive. Earth was watching. The Galactic Council was in chaos. The scout ships had returned, but their reports made no sense. Advanced scanning equipment had been disabled instantly. No weapons had been fired. No threats had been made. Yet they had been helpless. And worst of all, the voice. A calm, controlled message: "You are trespassing." Humanity had spoken, and the meaning was clear. Earth was not just ignoring the Council. Earth was rejecting them. The Council chamber was filled with heated arguments. Some leaders demanded immediate military action. The idea that a single planet could resist the combined might of the Galactic Council was absurd. Others, however, were more cautious. If humanity had technology capable of disabling an entire fleet without firing a shot, then rushing into war might be a fatal mistake. The mystery of Earth was no longer just a diplomatic problem. It was now a security threat. Despite the warnings, the Council could not accept the idea that a species they had ignored for so long could now hold power over them. The Velari representative, General Tarkus, slammed a clawed fist on the table, his eyes burning with fury. "We cannot allow a rogue species to challenge our authority. If they refuse to communicate, we will force them to kneel." His words were met with murmurs of approval. The Council had conquered many worlds before. Earth would be no different. Within days, the order was given. A fleet of 50 warships was dispatched to Sol. These were not simple scout ships. These were heavily armed battleships, equipped with planetary bombardment capabilities. Their mission was to force Earth to respond. Either humanity would submit, or their defenses would be crushed. As the fleet approached the Sol system, they braced for resistance. But there was nothing. No warships, no automated defenses, no sign of life at all. It was as if Earth had simply been abandoned. Suspicion grew among the commanders. Had humanity truly vanished? Had their earlier encounter been some kind of deception? Encouraged by the eerie silence, the fleet moved deeper into the system, heading straight for Earth. Then, without warning, the first ship disappeared. One moment it was there, flying in formation. The next, it was gone. No explosion, no distress signal, just empty space. The fleet immediately activated their sensors, searching for any sign of an enemy. Then the second ship vanished. Then the third. Panic spread through the command decks. "We are under attack," a captain shouted, but there was no enemy to be seen. The admiral ordered all ships to pull back, but it was too late. One by one, the warships vanished into the void. No debris, no wreckage, just silence. The flagship, the only ship left in the fleet, barely managed to escape. As it limped back to council space, a final transmission echoed through its speakers. It was the same voice from before, calm and controlled. "You were warned." When the flagship returned to the council, the surviving crew was questioned endlessly. How had a single planet wiped out an entire fleet without a fight? What kind of technology could erase warships without a trace? The council, once so confident in its power, now felt something they had never experienced before: doubt. Humanity had been silent for centuries. The council had assumed it was weakness. Now they realized the truth. Earth had not been hiding. Earth had been waiting. The council chamber was eerily quiet. The destruction of the fleet had sent shockwaves through every major species. The undeniable truth was now before them. Humanity was powerful. And worse, they had always been powerful. The council had ignored Earth for centuries, treating them as an insignificant species, never once considering that they could pose a threat. But now, the truth could no longer be denied. Panic spread among the leaders. Some demanded immediate retaliation, insisting that humanity must be destroyed before they could strike again. Others argued that war was impossible. How could they fight an enemy they couldn't even see? How could they defeat an opponent who had wiped out a fleet without a single visible attack? Questions filled the air, but no answers came. The surviving admiral of the failed invasion, a hardened warrior named Tortal, stood before the council, his expression grim. His voice was steady, but the fear in his eyes betrayed him. "I do not know how they did it," he admitted, his deep voice echoing in the silent hall. "But I know one thing: we never had a chance." The words sent chills through the room. The Galactic Council had always believed itself to be the ultimate authority in the universe. Yet a species they had dismissed as unimportant had not only defied them, but had humiliated them. A holographic map of Sol appeared in the center of the chamber. "We have no intelligence on their military," another officer admitted. "No scans, no reports, no weaknesses. Every time we try to gather information, we lose the assets we send." "Then we must negotiate," shouted a diplomat from the Okar Dominion. "If war is impossible, then peace is the only solution." Tarkus, the Velari general, growled in frustration. "Negotiate with what? They refuse to acknowledge us. They refuse to even speak to us." The council fell silent once more. This was the greatest insult of all. Not that humanity had won, but that they had done so without caring. They had not invaded. They had not threatened. They had not even responded. To them, the Galactic Council was nothing. Then the lights flickered. A deep hum filled the room as the air itself seemed to grow heavier. The central holographic display flickered, and a new image appeared. It was a dark screen, nothing but a simple, blinking cursor. And then, a message appeared before their eyes, written in perfect galactic standard. "Leave Sol. Do not return." A cold chill ran through the council chamber. This was the first direct communication humanity had sent in centuries. Not a threat, not a request, a command. The room erupted into chaos. Some leaders wanted to surrender immediately, to comply with whatever humanity wanted. Others still believed they could fight. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Humanity had given them an order, and disobedience would bring consequences none of them were ready to face. The council chamber was in complete disorder. Some leaders shouted for immediate withdrawal from Sol, fearing that even a moment of hesitation would bring destruction upon them. Others, filled with wounded pride, argued that surrender would make the Galactic Council look weak. But beneath all the shouting, one truth remained. Humanity had spoken. Tarkus, the Velari general, slammed his fist onto the table. "This is unacceptable. We are the most powerful force in the galaxy. We do not take orders from anyone, let alone a species that has spent centuries in silence." His voice was filled with fury, but there was something else beneath it. Fear. "We don't even know how they fight," a Selvari scientist muttered. "We don't know how they destroyed our fleet. We don't know anything." He turned toward the others, his scaled fingers trembling. "And yet, they know everything about us." That was the most terrifying realization of all. Humanity had never once engaged the Galactic Council in direct battle, yet they had defeated them completely. They had crippled an entire invasion fleet without a single shot. The Council had always assumed that they were the Watchers, the ones observing the weaker species of the galaxy. But now, they had to face the horrible truth. Humanity had been watching them all along. A silence fell over the room as everyone processed the message that had appeared on their screens. "Leave Sol. Do not return." For the first time in the Council's history, they were faced with an opponent who did not seek war, did not seek peace, and did not seek power. Humanity had given them one warning. There would be no second. But pride was a dangerous thing. Some council members refused to believe that a single planet could dictate terms to the entire galactic government. A coalition of war-hungry species secretly assembled another fleet, twice as large as the first. They refused to accept that a race they had dismissed for centuries could stand against them. The new fleet would not go in blindly this time. They would use advanced shielding, deploy reconnaissance units, and scan for any hidden weaponry. They were prepared for a war of technology, strategy, and numbers. But when the fleet entered Sol space, they found nothing. No defenses, no warships, just the silent blue planet below, turning slowly in the void. For hours, nothing happened. You said. The message sent the Council into pure terror. "They're already here." Those chilling words echoed through every chamber, every communication line, every mind across the Galactic Council. What did it mean? Had humanity already infiltrated their worlds? Had they been watching from the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike? No one knew, but one thing was clear. The second fleet was gone. There had been no battle, no warning, just disappearance. 50 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy had simply been erased. The Council could no longer pretend this was a misunderstanding. Humanity wasn't just stronger. Humanity was operating on a level that none of them could even comprehend. The paranoia spread like wildfire. The Velari homeworld went into full lockdown, fearing that human forces could be lurking in their own system. The Okar Dominion pulled its fleets back from every frontier, abandoning territorial wars they had waged for centuries. Entire species, once arrogant and powerful, now lived in fear of the unseen. Thortal, the admiral who had survived the first failed invasion, stood before the Council again. His body was tense, his voice was hoarse, and for the first time in his life, he was afraid. "This is no longer a question of war," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. This is a question of survival. No one argued. Not this time. The Council finally did the only thing left to do. They ordered a full retreat. Every species, every military force, every spy and diplomat was recalled from the Sol system. Humanity's message had been clear: leave and never return. And so, for the first time in history, the Galactic Council obeyed. For years after, no ship entered Sol. No scout dared to approach Earth. The Council issued orders that any vessel crossing into human space would be abandoned immediately. No rescue missions, no contact, nothing. Humanity's territory became a void, an area of space where even the bravest feared to tread. But the fear did not fade, because the greatest question remained unanswered. Asterisk, asterisk, if humanity had always been this powerful, why had they? Decades passed, but the fear never faded. The Galactic Council strictly enforced the Sol Prohibition, making it clear: no species, no fleet, and no individual was to ever approach Earth's domain again. Even the most reckless pirates refused to enter human space. The void around Earth became the deadliest silence in the galaxy. But fear is a strange thing. Over time, doubts crept in. Some council members began to question if humanity was truly as powerful as they seemed. Could a single species really command such dominance? Could it all have been some elaborate trick? And if humanity had no interest in expansion or war, what were they doing in the shadows of Sol? The whispers grew louder. Some believed humanity had gone extinct, using their final act of power to drive the Council away before their inevitable collapse. Others claimed that Earth was a prison, a place where something ancient and terrible had been locked away, and humanity had simply been its guardians. Still, no one dared to confirm the truth. Then, without warning, a message arrived. It was a single transmission, broadcast across every Council world. A voice. The same voice. Calm. Cold. We told you to leave. You obeyed. Good. A pause. Now it begins. The transmission cut out. No further explanation. No demands. Just a simple, terrifying statement. Panic erupted across the Council. What begins? Was it war? Retaliation? Had humanity finally decided to act? Every fleet was put on high alert. Every defense system activated. Some species evacuated entire planets, fearing an unseen apocalypse. But as the days passed, nothing happened. No invasions, no attacks, nothing at all. And somehow, that was worse. Because now, the entire galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had never been afraid of them. Humanity had been waiting, and whatever they were waiting for had just begun.